Hi everybody and welcome to Beginner Woodworker project number 3. So yeah, we've got the whole shop organized and set up, and for today's project we're going to be using the table saw for the whole thing. So yeah, really excited to start getting to know this machine a little bit better. Slightly nervous, but I'm sure it's all going to go great. Yeah, today's project, it's a lot smaller, a lot more intricate than the projects I've done before, so I'm going to be learning a lot of new techniques, cutting techniques, and I think, I'm going to have to be a lot more accurate than I've been in the past. So if you see my previous videos, maybe sometimes I've been a little bit impatient trying to just get things done. So for this one, I'm going to try and just take my time a little bit more, and hopefully it goes well. So yeah, let's get into it. So for the first step in this process, I'm going to cut the 4 sides of the tray, always remembering to cut them maybe like 3 or 4 centimeters longer than needed, just to give me a little bit more room for error at the end. So let's go. So we've got our 2 length pieces and our 2 end pieces of the box. I also cut these 2 smaller pieces which we're going to make the paperweight, but that's for later on. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed using the table saw. That was a lot of fun and a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be. So now to make some rib cuts or cuts parallel along the board, I don't need my miter gauge anymore, so we can get rid of that. We'll put my rib fence in. So I realized trying to do it this way with using the push block, I get stuck here and I can't really push it any further. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the safety guard and the riving knife, so I can push the wood all the way through. So now we've got everything cut to the correct widths. Now I want to do the correct length. Now so we have our side pieces and our end pieces all cut out to the right lengths and widths. Now we want to join them all together. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut some rabbet cuts out of the end pieces here. So it'll be like halfway across and in, and then this end piece will like slot in there. So I know that that's a horrible explanation and that's probably super unclear, but maybe once I make the cuts, then that will be a little bit more clear. So now we have all of those pieces cut. Everything slot in nicely. All right. So what we're gonna want to do next is cut some rabbet cuts. So that means there's gonna be a sheet of plywood that goes slotted into the bottom here. So I want to cut a little piece off each of the bottom pieces so that plywood will slot in nicely there. So it's going to be the same thing I did here, but just slight piece off the bottom there. Alright, so now that I cut those rabbet cuts on the bottom of the box, so everything here slots together, and now there's a gap here where I can slot my piece of plywood for the bottom right in there. So I think that all looks pretty good actually. Nice one. So now I'm gonna try and cut this shape out of the front piece. Alright, so this is the shape I'm going to try and cut out using my jigsaw, so wish me luck, guys. Alright, I'm going to do a dry assembly and with the bottom facing up so I can see exactly how big I need to make the piece of plywood that slots in here. So for the first time I'm going to use my strap, my strap clamp. I'm not sure if I put this together properly, to be honest. Since this board is far too long for my table saw and I can't clamp this rip fence down, I think I'm gonna use my circular saw just to cut off or make this a little bit smaller. Well, weirdly enough, that fits perfectly first time. I don't know how I fluked that, but pretty satisfied. All right, time to glue this bad boy together. off the clamps and I was feeling pretty chuffed with myself. I felt like I didn't really make any mistakes. I took my time with everything, you know, everything kind of just worked out really well. And then I realized when I went to put the paper in, first of all, it doesn't fit lengthways. And also, yeah, look at all of that space on the side. You know, no! I feel like I measured everything the right way. I checked the plans again, but I guess, you know, real world measurements are probably always the best. So I should have probably just measured how much paper, like A4 paper length and width is, and then use that as a basis. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing, but you know, I'm a beginner woodworker, so that's the whole point of this whole process, is to kind of learn from your mistakes and yeah, make mistakes. So oh well, live and learn, and let's get on with it either way. So what I want to do next is cut some bevels on the sides, on the edges, to give this thing a bit of shape. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to move this saw to 45 degrees, just like that. And then basically cut along there like that. So I've never done this before, so it's new to me again. So yeah, see how it turns out. So here we have the final product. You know, this wasn't one of those projects that I was particularly excited to make, because who really needs an office paper tray, to be honest? But, you know, I'm happy with how it turned out in the end. It looks like it's supposed to look. It doesn't quite fit the paper in there, but, you know, that's another lesson learned. You know, I learned a lot of skills, a lot of new cuts, a lot of new techniques. So I'm happy about that, and I also learned that in the future, even though you can measure everything twice and follow the plans, you should really think about what you're making and whether those measurements make sense. So yeah, like I said, happy at the end of the day and looking forward to the next one. All right guys, take care.